Hello and happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and of course, I have a duo here that not only knows a thing or three about video games, has great opinions about them. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to spend the next 90 minutes kind of, yucking it up, so to speak. There's been some big news. Obviously, thanks to Clobreel and several others, we have confirmation that on the 24th, when, of course, the new content or season 5 for Call of Duty happens to drop, well, Modern Warfare 3 will be officially dropping into Xbox Game Pass. And like I said in my tweet, so it begins. It is a big deal. We're going to see skyrocketing numbers both for single player and multiplayer. I played through it, quite enjoyed it. Jumped into multiplayer for a little bit, especially in zombies, dressed as, well, Ash from Evil Dead, and it was a lot of fun. I don't normally tango. My multiplayer is Halo, but listen, I think this is a really big deal for the service because it's one of the big games that are dropping that are now first party. We saw the resurgence with Diablo 4 and how big of a deal that was when it launched earlier this year into Xbox Game Pass. This is significant, folks. This is the first Call of Duty in the service on the heels of, of course, Black Ops 6 that is coming in October. Of course, we're going to get into some of the FTC shenanigans because if you go just based on the original or the new complaint from the FTC about Microsoft, one would think that it is it's big trouble for Xbox. Turns out their response to Lena Khan and the current FTC, in my opinion, was a mic drop moment. They did put it all out there, and one of the things I found very odd with this new complaint and this new letter to, of course, the federal judges is that they're trying to kind of retell the tale of the trial, which is, well, you can't do that. You can't present new evidence into something that's already been ruled on. You need to, if you feel that the judge got it wrong, and of course that's Judge Corley, which she didn't, you have to prove her wrong. And I don't know. I mean, the last time I checked, you could pretty much play Xbox games on every platform. Like logistically, everywhere there is a screen, you can play an Xbox game. So I don't understand. But again, this is just Lena Khan's stubbornness not to lose again. And ultimately, she is going to lose. And that's not, but those are not the only two topics. Jez Corden, who obviously resides in the UK, did a story where it was pretty telling, ladies and gentlemen, about the marketing specifically in Europe. Now, again, we are talking Europe, and things are a bit different here in the States, especially with the marketing. They do spend a little bit more here, but if Xbox is to potentially, take on the market leader, which is PlayStation, well, they got to spend some marketing dollars. And based on the interview, it doesn't sound so good. I hope this person that kind of let the cat out of the bag actually has a job still, because he, obviously this is all out in the open. Listen, Microsoft, you're a $1 billion, or I'm sorry, $1 trillion company. Spend some freaking marketing dollars, for crying out loud. Let people know in Europe what Xbox Game Pass is. And I don't know, maybe tell the world that you own Call of Duty. Silliness. But before we get into those topics, let's introduce these gentlemen. Gamsley, what's going on, dude? How you feeling? You're alive. You're here.
I'm alive. My laptop's not, so I dropped some coffee on my laptop and completely destroyed it. So I had to buy another one and
oh no, that sucks,
set everything
dude.
up. So besides that, I'm pretty awesome. I've been playing a lot of games. Game Pass dropped some like 3 really decent games this month. So Dungeon of Hinterberg is definitely my highlight.
Okay,
I've been doing that game a lot. Flintlock, not my jam.
Yeah, I'm
I
kind of
could,
right there with you.
yeah, and And Path of the Goddess is actually quite awesome. It's giving me some horde defense slash tower defense vibes, and I really like it. I'm really enjoying it. It's like stripped right out of like Xbox 360, PS3 kind of PS2 energy. I like it. I like what Capcom's doing. So I've been playing games. I've just been enjoying the pickings. Interesting topics today. Um, tiresome but interesting. So let's get into it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're gonna have fun with the topics. Again, it's the summer. There's not a lot of news breaking, but there is news to discuss, and hopefully, everyone that's here, and almost 300 people are already here, you will enjoy the conversation. But Fuzzy Belvedere, great hanging out with you and the missus on Friday evening, folks. If you missed it, the missus has a horror podcast, and of course, it was a lot of fun, a lot of information that came out there. A zombie film that did not really, do so well in the conversation. But needless to say, we got a chance to hang out. But welcome, man. How you feeling?
It's awesome to be here with you guys, man. That was a fun time on Friday. For those that don't know, just follow me on Twitter. You'll see the links and everything for it. But here today to talk about some Xbox and FTC and some marketing stuff. So some interesting stuff to get into, but having fun. Just got to play Toxic Avenger this weekend. They had it at like a drive-in movie festival over the weekend.
Nice.
Over at one of the drive-in
That's
theaters.
the
out my way.
side-scrolling beat 'em up, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So that if you like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, one that just came out not too long ago, or like within the past year or so, you'll definitely have fun with this one as well. But man, just enjoying playing games and watching everybody lose their mind on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it these days. But can't wait to get into these topics. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you for being here. Gamsley, I want to immediately go to you, and I want to talk about Call of Duty, Black Ops, Modern Warfare 3, confirmed to be releasing into Xbox Game Pass on July 24th. Okay, now, one of the things, this is an exciting time. I've played through it. I've beaten it. I started playing on the hardest mode. It's hard. It is like all Call of Duties. You try to play on the hardest level, you're going to die every 5 seconds. And I'm trying. I want to get the achievement for that. But I understand that it wasn't one of the more widely enjoyed Call of Duties for single player. Listen, the game, the single player was okay. It wasn't fantastic. Some of the missions seemed to be like they seemed like right out of the online version of Modern Warfare. And you know what? I played through all of them. I found every orange box. I found every gun. I actually enjoyed those levels significantly, because then it was a challenge to find all of the hidden orange boxes, and these levels were huge. But we have confirmation. It's in Game Pass. Finally, we are getting Modern Warfare games, specifically Modern Warfare 3, into Xbox Game Pass. I'm just interested to get your hot take. Again, this is not the biggest topic of the show because, we knew this was happening. We just now have confirmation. Do you think there's going to be a resurgence with this game that launched last year?
Well, I think just like Diablo. Oh my god, I can't speak. Just like that game, I'm not gonna say it again. I think it's gonna be a short boost. I feel like Diablo. God. Also quickly kind of lost its fire. Almost immediately after that big spike. So yeah, something like that. I think I was reading random stats from random player count sites that has Modern Warfare 3 around 161 peak players in the past 30 days. And I don't think that's incredibly impressive. Since I thought it was going to be higher, but I guess they go on to what's it called? Warzone. I think Warzone is like
Yeah.
what everybody jumps into after like a few months of the Call of Duty releases. So yeah, I think there's going to be a boost. Obviously, there's around 25 upward million of people on Game Pass. So certainly the lapsed players that haven't picked this up yet, or the people that are interested and see this on their Game Pass sub, will hop in there and give it a huge, large boost. But I really don't think it's a good enough game to, keep attention for long. Look at me in my face. It just wasn't a good Call of Duty game. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, again,
I think
your
it'll,
mileage is going to vary on how much you liked it or
Yeah.
disliked it. A lot of people did not like this Call of Duty.
yeah, well, yeah, it was pretty meh. But this month as a whole is the larger picture. Like this month as a whole just had a lot of games dropping that people were actually interested in, like the 3 games I said on the top. So
Mhm.
adding this to the library of those games that came out this month, it is a giant month for Game Pass, and I think people's eyes will be glued to it for the next month as well. So this is going to help player retention, and that's important. So yeah.
I mean, look, are people going to come to the service in droves because of this particular Modern Warfare or this Call of Duty? No, they're not. The next Call of Duty that is going to move mountains, that are going to move people from potentially PS4s to Xbox Series S consoles, is obviously the price of the console and the fact that it's in Game Pass. I like to keep reminding people that even if you're on the other side of the screen and you happen to be someone that you don't have to be loaded, but you're doing well for yourself, you're doing well for your family, spending 67 or 76.43 for a game may not be a big deal for you. And you know what? If that's the case, congratulations, you won. But that's not, in fact, the conversation that a lot of people can have. People are looking for deals. If they're not getting them on Steam, they're getting them on sites like CD Keys to try and get a key cheaper, whether it be $5 cheaper, $10 cheaper, or more. Game Pass is one of those situations where yes, it's going up in September. It's going up right before the next Call of Duty comes out to $20. I said this earlier, and I will stand on this hill, and I think most people will stand with me. I'm never going to advocate for a $3 trillion company to raise prices. That is absurd. I called it hogwash. I understand why they're doing it. I just don't like it. And obviously, the FTC doesn't like it, and we're going to get into some of their shenanigans as a segue out of this topic. But Fuzzy, look, and I've seen a lot of people advocating for this, like Gamsley, not being a great Call of Duty, but it sold. It was the most selling game under Hogwarts.
Mhm.
And if Hogwarts didn't come out that year, it would have been number 1 again. People bought this game in droves. Yes, so it came in number 2. I can't make you like the game. If you didn't like it, hey, you didn't like it. But one thing I did notice, especially when this was announced over the weekend, a lot of people skipped it. Whether it be for bad reviews, or they didn't have the money, or they haven't played a Call of Duty in a very long time. Well, now it's in a service. So there's absolutely no reason not to try it. Now, if you think the game sucks, hey, man, I'm not here to fight with you. Good on you. You think it's good or bad. But it's in your service. It's in your service that you pay for. And the one thing that we can say about other services, well, it's not in PlayStation Plus. That is for certain. And I think that even though this is one of the less enjoyed Call of Duties from the Call of Duty fan base, it's still a Call of Duty that made bank. And it's going to move people. Yes. Is it going to move 5 million people into the service because of this particular Call of Duty? I don't think so. I don't know if it moves anybody for that matter, but it is still in the service. I want to get your hot take on it.
Well, let's put things in perspective with Hogwarts versus Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. One being that Hogwarts was out pretty much at the beginning of the year. So it had the entire year of sales to go for it in
Yeah.
comparison to the Call of Duty. It even had additional releases on the older platforms to kind of help aid it towards the second half of that year. So for Call of Duty to finish second, a close second, and only be counted for like 2 out of the 12 months, that should tell you all you need to know about Call of Duty as a whole and how popular that brand is. But with it coming to Game Pass, it's great. I would like to hear more about additional Call of Duties coming and what the timeline or what that looks like. But this is one that I skipped. I got Modern Warfare 2, skipped on 3 for 2 reasons. One, kind of figured, well, maybe that's coming to Game Pass. And 2, it was one of those that I won't say they sent it in kind of thing. Like they just, kind of finished their homework the night
Cut and
before kind of
paste
deal.
kind of a thing. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like that particular one of Call of Duty, at least from a campaign standpoint, seemed like this was a way to um, finish all the commitments that they had with PlayStation for their marketing deal, because they had to have complete games, not just DLC. So with that counting as a completed game, I think that kind of fulfilled the contract obligations that they had. So it wasn't anything that would lay over or carry over as far as from when Activision became part of Microsoft. But it is what it is. I'll give it a play. Much like all Call of Duties, I'll at least play the campaign. Not as much of a multiplayer guy, but the campaign is still something that, even if it's only a couple of hours worth, it's in the service. So, and there's achievement points, so it's going to be worthwhile at least going through that. And then it could, even if it's somewhere in the bottom 10 or bottom 20 as far as Call of Duties, it's still a Call of Duty. So if you just turn your mind off and want to shoot stuff, that's pretty much what the enjoyment part is, other than figuring out the mechanics if you are going into the multiplayer. But yeah, I'm happy it's coming. Would like to hear more about the other ones.
Yes.
But this is a start.
Indeed, it is a start. Again, we're waiting for any Call of Duty. And well, this is the first one. It makes sense. It was last year's Call of Duty. Again, we're not going to reiterate the numbers, but I saw a lot of people talking about it, specifically about the campaign not being as bad as some people made it out to be. I'm in that camp. I actually enjoyed the campaign. I played through it. I'm playing through it again on the hardest level, and again, it's freaking difficult. It just one shot you're dead, and I like the challenge, so I'll probably try and get the achievement for that, as I did many of other Call of Duties before it. But gentlemen, one of the things that I saw, and I get it's console war rhetoric, but it is disturbing to me. Some people in the chat, again, have your opinion. It's fine. No names. Where I scratch my head, where the conundrum comes from, gentlemen, and I really want to get your hot take on this, are people, even though this may not be the greatest Call of Duty, I understand that. I get it. You didn't like it, or you did, and you're saying this publicly because you just want clicks. Advocating for this to be a bad thing coming into Xbox Game Pass, I'm gonna be honest with you, what you're selling, I'm not buying. And I've seen a lot of people over the weekend talking that, like, well, this is not good for the service. It sucks. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it sucks as bad as you think it does when it's the number 2 selling game of the entire freaking year. Oh, and PS, by the way, they did that in 2 months. So, yeah, maybe it's not up to your standard, and there are some Call of Duty snobs out there. You know who I'm talking about. And that's fine. Certainly wasn't the greatest Call of Duty I ever played, but I at least enjoyed myself, nonetheless. Gamzee, what are your pushbacks to people saying that games being added to a service is somehow a bad thing?
Oh, I don't know. I I I don't know the arguments. Like, what are the arguments? What are they saying exactly? Are they saying it's bad because
Well, they're saying
like
it's bad because the game
upping
sucks.
the
So why? So why are people basically asking
I
why are
see.
people getting excited for this Call of Duty coming to Game Pass? Oh, I don't know, because it's Call of Duty coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, when value is added to something that you are paying for, it's like saying if I don't know, House of Cards came to Netflix and it was okay at best, it's still there. If the price didn't go up because of it, then it's all good. But if it did, then maybe. But if that's not the argument, it's just because stuff is being added, then I don't know, man. I have no idea. Maybe those people are thinking, well, because Call of Duty is coming into this service and then they up the price and blah blah blah. If that's the case, then sure. But that's not the case. So that's not the case. So
I
yeah.
agree. Shout out to I Am Breezy. He says, "You know what sucks when you pay $70 on a game and it ain't good. Thank you, Game Pass." That's great.
That also sucks.
Yeah, absolutely sucks. Xboxer Mike says it's bad because I said so. Love it.
Yeah, the buying, it's a great point. Whoever said that in chat, that
would be Xboxer.
That's a great point. It's like, oh,
I'm because he said so. Damn it!
I'm gonna buy an $89 Call of Duty game, and then it sucks, but that somehow is not devastating.
It is
but yeah,
your wallet,
I agree.
Sir.
Buying, but then again, you have the choice to buy the game. But yeah, no, I don't see it. You guys are nuts. Anyways, that's all I got.
No,
I don't know.
It's again, it's just a bonus question to some shenanigans over the weekend. And again, we don't have to mention names here because people, listen, you can look for it. It's very easy to find. But Fuzzy, before we get into the FTC shenanigans, let's get your hot take on this. Where is this coming from? Is this just console war rhetoric where a high-profile game, again, regardless of score or personal taste, whether you like it or you don't, getting into a service that, if you just read this particular thread, not anyone on social media, just the chat, what we have right now, there are a lot of people that did not play this particular Call of Duty. As a matter of fact, several people here haven't played Call of Duty, a proper single-player Call of Duty, since like Black Ops 1. So they've been out of the loop. They kind of step back. Well, now they can play it at no risk because all they have to do is download it. That's it.
I don't know why people get upset over options. Like, if you're already subscribed, it's one of 400, 500 plus games or whatever that you could either play or not play. But I can't see how you spin it as a bad thing. Like, there have been bad games that have come to the service and people have not really made a fit about it and moved on to a game that they enjoy playing that's in the service, or another game that they may have purchased, or one that they previously owned anyway. So this Call of Duty, not being one of the better ones in a lot of people's opinion, that's fine. Eventually all the Call of Duties will be there. So I don't think this, coming to Game Pass is like somehow a detriment to the service or a detriment to gamers as a whole. Although there's a staunch few that are out there that will tell you that Game Pass is the reason why the gaming industry is failing. Not the fact that costs are out of control as far as how much it makes or how much it takes to make a game. No, that can't possibly be the problem. No, it's solely Game Pass and the Series S potato. Those are the suspects, I guess,
and
for
Concord.
those guys. But
you know what I mean?
But it's funny that people would bring this up as a bad thing, and yet those would be the same people who are like, Concord was fun. All they need is some more polish. Like, okay, yeah, I guess Concord can be fun for those that gave it a try and stuff, but it'll eventually go free to play. So I guess the same ones that are complaining that Call of Duty not being good for the service will have something similar to say, I guess, when Concord comes to PS Plus for free. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But no, it's silly to complain about, oh, it's a detriment when there's so many hundreds of games to play in comparison. So I don't know. It's like they want to pick something to complain about. Oh, the sky is blue, water's wet. Yeah, pick pick your poison, I guess is the best way to
Yeah.
put it.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're not wrong. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to move on to the FTC topic. But before we get there, I got to catch up on Super Chats. And again, shout out to Shannon Winter, one of the last winners from last week's Double Barrel Gaming prize pack. Listen, if you go to the About page of the YouTube channel, my email, the business email is there. If you can't find it there, because I know some people said they took that away, which I don't. I last time I checked, it was there. Message me on Xbox Live. Let me know it's you, and I'll get your shipping information, and we'll get that package out. And all the packages are being mailed out tomorrow. Adidas 20, who's been a channel member for a whopping 18 months, brother. Thank you so much for that. He says simply, "Let's go." Absolutely, brother. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for the support. Andre Doyle drops a very generous $2 super chat, and he says, Game Pass expected to make $5.5 billion in 2025. Yeah, I saw that report. As a matter of fact, I think that's one of the stories we're going to be covering on Wednesday's prime time gaming. I'm writing a whole topic around it because, yep, that's I originally saw that on Tweaktown. Was the I think the first person, Derek was the first person to, and that's hilarious that it comes out of first on a PlayStation website. It's great. Will Broke Boy Lewis drops a very generous $5 super chat, and Will says, "Can we please have the Deadpool promo controller be an elite and squeezing the butt cheeks are paddles? Just a random thought, but it would be great." Yeah, I actually complained on social about that. I'm like, look, I get it. Xbox always on the pulse when it comes to film and things happening. So they make these elaborate controllers and they have these incredible consoles that are one of a kind, two of a kind. Maybe they make three of them. And of course, you gotta, get into the contest. I've never won. I'm probably never gonna win. It's fine. I just think in regards to what Will is saying here, how is it that we have smoke colors and camo colors of every shape, size, and color, and just listen, I Xbox loves making controllers. How is it that the last super major controller was the Starfield? I mean, that was full on, holy shit, this is incredible. And then they had the Fallout one, which I bought, which you can do on Design Labs. How is it that we don't have the capability? If you don't want to package and market, there you go. If you don't want to package and market them, I get it. But let me, as a fan of Deadpool and Wolverine, order a controller that is what you show that you're raffling away. It's just such big misses. I don't get it. You love controllers, but you make such wacky designs. I'm sorry, who's buying the pink smoke one? $70? No thanks. I don't need that color. I don't know. I just think that Will's onto something. If you're gonna market with this film and it's gonna be big, I don't know. You maybe should have made some controllers and Design Labs that people can actually buy, because I would have bought one of each. I don't know.
Yeah,
but let's.
I think the pink, flashy little pink controllers for our lovely
They are lovely.
Slash other people
Yeah,
are
but they
buying
have those.
ones.
They're a dime a dozen. That's the problem.
Yeah, I get you.
The smoke colored one comes in blue and black and pink and green and orange. Okay. I mean, I only have two hands, but okay, I get you. And then a week later, they come out with the dark midnight blue. I don't know. I just think that I get it. You want to sell controllers, make them freaking memorable. Can we have special edition controllers that actually earned the SE at the back end of it? I don't know. But
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because Razer products, like they have that whole design lab thing for their mice, and they
yes,
sell like they get a bunch of licenses, like League of Legends and
yep.
Warcraft and all that stuff. But I bet that costs a lot of licensing things and it causes problems. But yeah, I'm with you, man. They should totally try to make these available.
I think where I get aggravated, and you can tell that I'm aggravated, is if you're going to spend or you're going to market Deadpool and Wolverine, which I'm going to see Friday morning. Right, that film was going to be amazing, and some of the stuff
Hmm.
I heard behind the scenes, which I will not ruin, are just freaking crazy. Right, what's going to be in this film? Don't do the half toe. Jump in the pool, man. Make Deadpool and
Hmm.
Wolverine controllers. I don't get it.
Yep.
Listen, I regress. Let me continue. Wakanda drops a very generous 10-pound super chat. Welcome back, Wakanda. Thank you so much for the generosity. He goes on to say, hey, Boom, don't normally listen live, so live long and prosper, Boom and Panel. Well, that's very kind of you, brother, and I'm glad that you are listening live. Super appreciate you being here, and of course, I super appreciate the generosity. Will Broke Boy Lewis has done it again, folks. My goodness. He has gifted 5 double barrel gaming memberships. Please, if you did get one, thank this man. He has given so many away. It's just incredible. The generosity is just, we are incredibly grateful, Will. Thank you so much for that. And we have J Mac, our good brother, drops a very generous, actually 2 $5 super chats. The first one, he goes on to say, shout out to Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick XL and panel. Salute, gentlemen. Have a great time on First Ascendant. But thanks, bro. Graybeards, hashtag Graybeards, play games, hashtag Xbox World Order. Yeah, I think I just crossed like 60 hours in the First Ascendant. It is, I have
Oh
4
no.
characters maxed out at level 40. I have
Mm-mm.
3 at 30, and I think I have I have one that I haven't even started yet. That's the one with the water. And the other 2 are like 19 or 20. I'm going to have all of them maxed out to
Mm-mm.
40. I'm very much in love with that game. The game is one of my favorite games of the year. Adidas 20 who drops a very generous $5 super chat. And he goes on to say, the last Call of Duty game was DLC turned to a full game. Smart move. It was the last game Sony had marketing for. No Black Ops 6 marketing for Sony. Huge for Xbox. It's going to be a big deal. Like, it really is. I mean, look, I know that for a lot of people, Hellblade 2 didn't move the needle to get new subscribers because it's not a game for everyone. I totally understand that. That's not the same. It's not the same league when it comes to Call of Duty, especially and specifically Black Ops.
Mm-hmm.
That is a mover and a shaker for
Yeah.
sure.
And the best
Um,
part about that, Boom, all right, and the best part about that, remember, is that it doesn't take away all those other games, right?
that is
Like Hellblade
correct.
is still there,
Yeah,
and Black Ops will still be there, and all these games will still be there. So it just adds value to the overall product as future goes on. Anyway, let you get into it.
thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much. J Mac is his second $5 super chat. He says, "Look, the fact that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 got so much hate is because Xbox owned it. Xbox World Order is fully operational. I look again. I'm not going to push back on you if you didn't like it, folks. I understand it." But I think J Mac is onto something. I really do. I just think that there is like legitimate Xbox hate, and because they owned it, now we'll see. We'll see how Black Ops is received and whether or not the hate train continues. Eli Slomovich, our very good friend, drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Did you see the Windows Central article on Game Pass tier news? Happy week to everyone." I'm going to have to go look for that because that's a big conversation. No, I actually didn't see that, Eli. Thank you so much for that. Highlander 001, generous friend of the program, who's been a channel member for an insane 25 months. He says, great show. The FTC cannot add any new evidence, correct, for an appeal since they can only use the evidence that was used at the trial. 1,000%. I don't like that whole complaint from the FTC was just like a waste of the court's time. It's like someone actually had to draw that up and have that put out there. It was honestly a waste. You cannot, I mean, I know that. I mean, I have, law background, but not like when it comes to criminal law. Yes. Business law, not really. But I even know that. That's just ridiculous. Big Ned Mo has been a channel member for an insane 27 months. Mo, thank you so much for the support. He goes on to say Modern Warfare 3 is a start, but I want to play in order, so I'll wait. Hashtag boot on next season in full effect. If you build it, they will come. Game Pass. Shout out to the panel and shout out to you, Mo. Thank you so much. And of course, we have two more here. JJ saying 117 drops a very generous $5 super chat. And JJ says, SVC Chaos is skipping Xbox. Yeah, it's just another one, man. And that, you know what's sad about that one, JJ? That particular Marvel versus Capcom versus SNK was exclusive to the OG Xbox. I actually still own the disc. I own them all, and it's worth a lot of money. It's just frustrating. I get it's available everywhere but Xbox. That's where I'd like to play. We're just not getting it, and that sucks. He says those who say it's because Capcom and SNK don't have any evidence, so why Capcom releasing Path of the Gods on Game Pass? It's an Xbox One thing. And the best way I could describe it for you, JJ, is the way it was described to me by Keosante this morning. The dev kits that Capcom currently have for Xbox do not contain code for Xbox 360 or Xbox One. They only have code for Xbox Series X and S. That's how it was explained to me. For PlayStation, yes, why PlayStation? Because more than 50% of people still play on a PS4 or PS4 Pro. And in Japan, that they have a very large chunk of the market. So, of course, it's not officially released onto a PS5. It's released onto a PS4, which, of course, is backwards compatible with the PS5. And that is why that's happening. And the Switch is obviously big. I don't like it, but I'm going to buy it on the Switch. And I have a nice 6-button controller that just came in. It's wired. I'm not a big fan of the wire, but it's my Switch is right in front of me, so it's fine. And I'm going to play Marvel vs. Capcom, the collection, and this, and such is life. Nino Vistic, all the way from Hawaii. Brother, thank you so much. Aloha to you and your family. Thank you for gifting one Double Barrel Gaming membership. And, of course, I'm just going to stop there. Any super chats that come in, we will, of course, get to those. But let's get into, ladies and gentlemen, the FTC shenanigans, if you will. Now, of course, we saw and heard from Florian Mueller. We heard from Post Up. We heard from a lot of people that know the ins and outs of this case, the backs and the forths. But one of the things that was interesting was Microsoft's response. And I have it here in front of me. And shout out to Tom Warren, who actually posted this. And I'm going to use his post and read verbatim. He says this: Microsoft has responded to the FTC's filing about Xbox Game Pass price increases. It calls the FTC's letter misleading, extra record account of the facts, and says that the FTC is wrong to call Game Pass standard a degraded version because it includes multiplayer. So here is the response. And I'm going to read it verbatim. Now, again, folks, I'm going to blow it up so I can see it real nice. Where the heck did it go? The father, sister, brother. Okay, so it's long. So I'm just going to read pieces of it. If you want, I will attach it to the show notes. All you got to do is click it. You could read it yourself if you haven't already. And it says this: the FTC's Rule 28J letter presents a misleading extra record account of the facts and is a continuation of the agency's attempt to reinvent its case on appeal. Earlier this month, Microsoft announced changes to its gaming subscription service, Game Pass, to provide consumers valuable options at different price points. Microsoft is offering a new service tier, Game Pass Standard, which offers access to hundreds of back catalog games and multiplayer functionality for $14.99 a month. It is wrong to call that this is a degraded version of the discontinued Game Pass for console offering. That discontinued product did not offer multiplayer functionality, which had to be purchased separately for an additional $9.99 a month, making the total of the cost of $20.98. While Game Pass Ultimate's price will increase from $16.99 to $19.99 a month, the service will offer a more value through many new games available day and date. Among them is the upcoming release of Call of Duty, which has never before been available in a subscription service for release day and date. Now, in closing, this is what it says, and this is where the mic drop moment happens, gentlemen. The FTC barely mentioned subscription at trial, instead focusing on the theory that Microsoft would withhold Call of Duty from Sony's console, and it says ANSBR 18-19 and pages 26 and 27. The district court correctly rejected that theory, which is now further eroded by Microsoft and Sony's 10-year agreement to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, a contract, and I quote, that Sony was thrilled to enter. While the FTC has now tried to shift focus to its alleged subscription market, its letter does not map onto its arguments below, settling aside that it is common for businesses to change service offerings over time. The FTC's case in all of its alleged markets has always been premised on vertical foreclosure, i.e., that Microsoft would withhold Call of Duty from its rivals and therefore harm competition. And in closing, but even in the alleged subscription market, Call of Duty is not being withheld from anyone who wants it. See sealed ANSBR pages 24 and 25 and 42, and there remains no evidence anywhere of harm to competition. Sony's subscription service continues to thrive, even as they put few new games into their subscription day and date, unlike Microsoft. Respectfully submitted. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen, read from top to tier. That is the mic drop moment. And again, it just makes you wonder why the court is even allowing the FTC to waste its time. I know I saw some people in the chat saying, well, this is the first time that I agree with the FTC. I personally don't understand where you could, but if that's your opinion, you are absolutely entitled to have it. Where I have a monster pushback here with anyone agreeing with the FTC, and pardon the vulgarity, I think PlayStation players have been bent over so long that they can't stand up straight and figure out that it hurts. I'm sorry. They go out of their way to nickel and dime you at every turn and offer nothing in their service outside of a few indies day and date. How anyone could suggest that this is A, bad for gamers or bad for business for gaming as a whole, you are blinded by Sony's nonsense. Wake up, smell the roses, and stand up straight on your own for a second. And maybe you'll realize that they've been giving it to you and you just don't like it. I'm going to go in reverse order here. Fuzzy, by all means, let's get into this. I want to say it's backhand, but I really do think that this is a mic drop moment. I know I saw a lot of people running with, they're in trouble. They're not in trouble. You cannot bring new evidence to an appeal. That is an absolute law of fact. That is what the FTC has been trying to do, and that's why they're going to fail again. Let's get into it.
Well, this is kind of a weird one because, in a way, I think the FTC gets a W out of this, but not in the sense that some people might think. No, they're not going to be able to break up the Microsoft acquisition. They're not going to be able to split ABK out of Microsoft. But I do think they will inevitably make Microsoft bend the knee slightly because nobody really wants to have this drag on in court. Now, the appeal process, this isn't probably going to be finalized with the appeal. I think because of the price changes and the things that were mentioned in court, they do have some standing. The pushback that Microsoft should have done during the court case is say, hey, we're probably not going to raise the price for at least 24 months or so after the acquisition or something to that effect. They didn't go into any agreements on anything along those lines. So I think we will see, Microsoft bend the knee slightly and say, you know what, anybody that was subscribed from 2022 on, we'll give you 3 months free or 6 months free or something like that. So I think us as the consumer for Game Pass, I think we will get a little bit of a thank you or an appreciation gift or a consolation prize per se. But I think that's as far as it goes. And the way things are going now, politically and otherwise, I don't foresee the current admin being the ones at the helm when, this case is probably up for the appeal and whatnot, where, given the election, I'm pretty sure Lena Khan is on her last few days. Whether, the Democrats pull off a win or not, I think they're probably, considering a lot of the negative press that they've gotten from some of her wasting of taxpayer dollars to some extent and not focusing on other subscription services or cable companies or the power company or any other businesses that sometimes egregiously, beat over the head the consumer, where you might only have one option for your phone company, cable company, power company in your area. So there really isn't any option or choice. Those would have been better suited topics for FTC or areas for the FTC to focus on. But I don't see that they have much time in their current form to get much stuff done. But I think to avoid this dragging on, even though for the most part Microsoft has a win, but you could win and probably give the consumer back, or actually you could win and spend hundreds of millions of dollars in lawyers' fees, which they don't recoup those from the FTC. It's not like a regular civil case where you can, put in for, legal fees and things like that to recoup.
Right.
So they could either spend hundreds of millions of dollars that way, or they could say, you know what, let's just bend the knee. FTC gets a little W. We probably, instead of hundreds of millions, it's tens of millions by giving away a few months of Game Pass to those that are already subscribed to kind of cover, some of that price increase that's being argued or debated now. And I think that's ultimately the way they'll go. But we'll see. It's not written in stone or anything like that. But the way things are, unless they get a different judge in that Ninth Circuit court type of deal, yeah, FTC is already they've been struggling on an uphill battle to begin with. The other lead attorney recused themselves, so they're just throwing stuff at the wall basically, or stuff at the fan to see what sticks, kind of thing. But I think at for the most part, it'll probably be in Microsoft's best interest dollar wise to just cut it and say, you know what if we gave consumers back this little credit? Would that suffice? And if the FTC is smart and they want to at least have a W in their 4 year
small W,
yeah, that would be their only W, I guess you could say. So yeah, I think that's the way it goes down, but I could be completely wrong. We'll see.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, they're not going to be breaking this apart. The deal's done. The entire planet approved this deal. Think about that, how ridiculous this is. The entire Earth has approved this deal except for Lena Khan's FTC. But yet, my Con Ed bill went up 25% year over year. And there's no one to stop Con Ed from beating me over the head, paying for... folks, this is a small apartment. we've always paid more in the summer because we use the AC because I don't like to sweat. But there is absolutely no rhyme or reason why I'm paying over $500 for a month. There is, because there's no one stopping them. Same thing with the cable companies, same thing with the phones and everything else. Those need to be regulated and stopped. The one place where you get more bang for your buck than anyone else is Xbox. I don't get it. It's fine. They're gonna lose again. But Gamsley, let's bring you in. I mean, look, I read the response verbatim. This is on the heels of what I feel to be a waste of the court's time. I honestly do. You cannot provide new evidence for an appeal. This is not a retrial. This is an appeal to Judge Corley's decision. I think she got it right. I think that the Ninth District Court believes them. That's why they haven't ruled against her. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so let's start right there. Like, you have a point. First off, it's hard to argue with what you just said, right? There's other things in this world that we need to regulate over, let's say, this one thing. See, that point right there is extremely hard to argue about. Then when it comes to the courts, denying the appeal and all this stuff, that's another point there. So the FTC, whether they had an argument or not, which we can argue all day that they somewhat did in a trivial way, they did have an argument, but they butchered it just from A to Z. That's their fault, and that's all the FTC screwing up and not understanding how the game environment kind of works and who owns who's on top and who's whatever. They don't know their as from their elbow at this point, right? With gaming. But what I will say, and all of you guys in chat, before I say this, just understand, I don't give two ducklings about PlayStation or Sony. I don't care about Nintendo. I don't care about anything but except for the things I play and I consume, because I am a consumer. I've never fought for anything but outside of that. I'm a consumer. I consume.
Absolutely.
So what I will say is, on a consumer level, okay, before I say this, can you tell me what the package for console was at $14.99? Because I don't remember it. Can you?
Are you talking about the original plan?
Yeah, the original plan.
The original plan for console was exactly what it says. It was for console. The only difference is that it didn't have multiplayer, but it did have day and date games, meaning that when Starfield came out, it dropped into this new tier, removes day and date, and gives you multiplayer, which would cost $21 if you had to buy it separately.
Right. So let's start there. So as a consumer, right, the FTC could have had a leg up and said, well, see, obviously this is what we were trying to fight for, but they butchered it, so they have no chance. This is what the whole argument is about. They just don't have a chance now. They butchered the whole argument. They didn't put up a solid case to stop whatever this is, valuable or not. That is like they said, kind of a degraded version, and it is. I mean, if it just is, you're losing first party games in your service for multiplayer, which is ridiculous and shouldn't be even paid for anyway, right? So on a Microsoft level, they're really butchering us as well, just like every single one of these consumer companies are trying to do, right? So we shouldn't fight for that. We shouldn't just have an argument that, well, Sony's doing it, Sony sucks, and the console war mindset. We shouldn't have that. We should actually just say and nod our heads, yeah, that's right. This Game Pass version does kind of suck and has no real reason to being here, and they're funneling us to the Ultimate Edition, which is a great value. That does suck. So I will say that, and that's my only pushback on this, because it's dreadful, and we're consumers, and we already have that electricity bill and all that stuff that you were talking about on top. So we don't need gaming to be more expensive, or this service to be more expensive than it already is or is going to be. And just because it is the norm to increase prices also doesn't make it consumer friendly or good. So that's all I've got to say on it. I'm not picking a side. I'm just
Okay,
being a
fair.
consumer. And as soon as they increase a price on something, I don't really like it, but the value's there for me, so I consume it. But it doesn't make it right that it's a normal thing to do for trillion-dollar companies to up the price. So fuck those guys. Sorry, my
No, no, it's fine. No,
but screw those
we're
guys.
entitled
You
to
know
one
what I
F-bomb
mean?
per show. So you
Yeah.
you
So
called
sorry,
it. So
Boom.
good on you.
Honestly, I'm so sorry. But
That's
but
okay.
yeah, so screw these you know, trillion-dollar companies and billion-dollar companies. I don't like them. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
See, my pushback here is this. Where I give Microsoft smoke for this new tier is, well, there are two reasons. One, we do not have any context to the day and date going away, meaning that, okay, you're taking day and date games for console away for this $15 tier. When will those consumers get that content? Is it 30 days? Is it 60 days? Is it 90 days? Is it half a year? We don't know. That is, again, terrible messaging from Microsoft. And I'm sorry, you don't have all of these this plethora of information put out there on your new tiers without advising when the new games that they're not getting will be going into the system, meaning games moving forward. So let's say, for instance, Call of Duty Black Ops, not in the service for console players that have this tier. When will they get that game? Again, a month, 2 months, 3, 6, let us know. But I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to push back a little harder here. My smoke for Microsoft specifically with this tier, and why I think it's a massive miss, is you've always pushed play it first in day and date on Game Pass. Well, now that's murky water, because now we're only going to play it for PC, which is $12, and on consoles that gives you cloud and PC for $20, right? The way that this honestly should have gone down, and it's very simple, folks, is the console version. You want to make it $15, that's fine. It's $5 less than the maximum edition at $20. You take away cloud access, you take away PC access, and you leave it strictly onto console. And there you go. There's your 15. You get your multiplayer, you get your day and date games. All the tiers involved have day and date games. You can still run with the moniker, hey, play it first on Game Pass, day and date in your service. And it's $5 cheaper. I think personally, not adding the day and date is a monster miss. I really do. I think that it should have been, hey, if you're buying it for console, Gamsley, this is where it's staying. You're only going to be able to play it on console, but you get multiplayer. That's the bonus. And now you still keep your day and date.
Yeah, I really like I said, you know, that there's a lot of like pushback on their whole point as a corporation and consumer product, like kind of business, is that they try to really disguise things from under your nose, right? They try to teach you that it's okay to do the thing, and they do an exceptional job, and they've been doing an exceptional job for a very long time. But make no mistake, console players, okay, that $14.99 just because you got a multiplayer thing, and you know, they're not funneling me through to Game Pass because, you know, Game Pass Ultimate, because, you know, they're adding multiplayer and never had it, and that's all people wanted. It's like, guys, that's the exact point. They're taking away all that good stuff for something that the base console like player, that their base core kind of people that have always supported them, they're using that need for, let's say, the online multiplayer thing to kind of just talk for them and keep those guys happy. Meanwhile, fucking like messing with you too, just like Sony. Like, they're doing the exact same thing. You're losing day and date for the more expensive product. I don't know how else to put that. You're not getting day and date, which is the reason people want that bundle. They're taking it away to give you multiplayer to play what, guys? To play what? Halo multiplayer? What I don't get it, because most of the games on Game Pass are exceptional in single player as well. So I don't understand what we're trying to do here. Yeah.
No, it's
Anyway,
just a
console
miss.
players, I feel
Yeah.
sorry for you. That's
Yeah,
all.
to me
It's bad.
it's a miss, especially when you're talking about a $5 difference from 15 to 20. I just think that $5. I listen. I get it. You want to push people. Well, if I'm going to spend 15, I'll spend 20. Absolutely, I see it. But for people who are only on console and only care about console, should have been given the day and date as well. That's where I do the bit monster pushback. Now,
Yeah.
I know that we were originally going to talk about the Xbox marketing for Europe. Well, I kind of want to pull that story, and I want to thank Eli Shlomovich, who actually dropped this into the DM. And we do have some folks. We got some new information specifically from Windows Central. It's a breaking story. It says here, let me just pull it up. I have it right here. Written by our very good friend Jez Corden of Windows Central, and the lead title is, of course, a segue, and it keeps with the conversation of Xbox Game Pass. We talked about this. I don't think we're ever going to get the marketing rights or the profits from this idea that we threw out there, but Asante, if you're listening, I think you need to sue Microsoft, because apparently, according to Jez Corden's new story on Windows Central, which of course I will attach into the show notes, it says, what's next for Xbox Game Pass? Cloud, there is apparently an there's quite a few tiers coming, folks, but one of which is a cloud-only tier, which is what we said. How are you going to get people to play on cloud to spend $20? They're not. But what if you say, well, you can play on cloud for $8 or $10? Then people are going to be looking, and potentially new consumers, to, of course, the deal you have with Amazon, and of course the the Fire Stick TV. It makes sense. No one is going to get that and say, oh yes, $20, I'm going to drop that. I don't think it is. If you had a tier that was cloud only, which makes sense because that's where they're playing it, well, that's going to make bank for you. And the story does also say that they're exploring, we heard this before, Gamsley, ad-based tiers and the return of the family plan. Now, this is a story worth talking about. Now, I'm going to read it verbatim. Again, this is Jez Corden of Windows Central. He says, Xbox Game Pass has had some growing pains recently, but it's still a wealth of untapped potential ahead. And this is what the story says. Xbox Game Pass is the tip of Microsoft's spear for growing its platform, but it has had some growing pains recently. Netflix, Spotify, and other content-based digital subscription services have all undergone the same growing pains over the years, but there's still nothing quite like the microscope Microsoft finds itself under with its own service. It's heard opinions run the full gambit, and no one cares about Xbox Game Pass. It says it's dying. Xbox, quote unquote, Xbox Game Pass will destroy the gaming industry as we know it. Now, these are things that people in the community have said. Often, the negativity comes from people who don't actively use the service, of course. Developers have touted the service for providing much needed cash flow and investment. Users laud the value of that are on offer. Xbox Game Pass follows every sentence Xbox speaks, yet it hasn't quite exploded as some people perhaps expected it to. One last paragraph. Jez goes on to say, indeed, there's a finite number of core gamers out there who are interested in the content Xbox Game Pass offers. There's the issue of balancing the cost of content acquisition and user acquisition. There's also the issue of cannibalizing other aspects of the platform in order to grow and balance those as well. So, what does the immediate future hold for Xbox Game Pass, and what does it look like in terms of growth? Now,
Hmm.
again, Gamsley, he mentions the family plan. There are a whole mess of people who have been waiting for this particular plan, especially like, for instance, my co-host C Money on Thursday's show. He pays for 3 Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriptions because his wife's a gamer and his kids are gamers, as well as his own. So him specifically would benefit from a family plan because there are so many gamers in the house. This to me is a big deal, especially, and I've seen it. People in the chat have talked about it. Hey, I pay for 2, I pay for 3. I've even seen people that pay for multiple, even higher than that, because they live with a bunch of gamers. Let's get into the potential of a cloud tier, but also
Hmm.
the family plan. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah. Okay, so the balancing act that needs, see, the cloud, the family plan and the cloud gaming, like the article said, it's a balancing act. Like you're taking away those 3 household names if you put in the family plan, right? So you're losing 2 subscriptions per family, blah 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 blah. So that's what they're trying to figure out in the math around it. They need to have the subscription service at a certain peak point that they can introduce the family plan while grabbing more people and getting them interested. But to do so, they actually have to have a freaking cadence and games that people
Yep.
are really interested in, which is the point of ABK. And
Yes.
they need that to hit on all strides. They don't they really don't want Modern Warfare 3, okay? They want the peak Call of Duties. They want Call
Yes.
of Duty to be up there with the 9 out of 10s or the 8 out of 10s. They want people to be talking in good light about it everywhere, not bad light. And they want Warzone to kick off. They want all this to kick off and be healthy, and then they'll introduce the cloud plan, which is an excellent idea, and it doesn't do anything bad to the ecosystem. It just gives them more potential for growth in these areas in a growth market, which is cloud. So all of this is just necessary. It was a it's a slam dunk, right? Like you can't be asking. The reason why they're doing this $25 whatever Game Pass Ultimate being the only way to play on your Fire Stick at the moment is because they need to bleed that tiny market dry, right? Because they simply just don't have the big number they need to see. So they're doing this for now until they could give you a solid lineup. And when they drop that cloud tier, you're going to see Call of Duty in there. You're going to see new Call of Duty. You're going to see Avowed. You're going to see whatever. That's going to really be big for them. So yeah, I'm really excited for that cloud tier because I know so many people that could be interested in it and to help grow the cloud market. So yeah, it's only a good thing. The cloud thing is only a good thing. The family plan at a certain point is only a good thing for them, and it's a great thing for us at any point, right? At any point for
Yeah.
consumers, the family plan is great. Whether they drop it now or they drop it later, it's good for us, and so is the cloud. So, yeah. I mean, this has to be a thing, and for everybody, I mean that line is contradictory, right? It's like, oh,
Hmm.
Game Pass is destroying the industry, but also is like, not doing well. It's like, okay, interesting wording there. I don't know how it could be destructive and not even kicking off yet.
Well, they have,
But
I mean, from what we understand from, different reports, it's over 35 million, right? Like
mhm,
we know the last time we heard, I think it was 34. They got to be over 35.
mhm,
And again, this is just a stab in the dark here, folks. I think it's
mhm,
safe to say the year that they're going to have, especially for Ultimate with the first party stuff that includes Black Ops 6, I don't know if it's going to be
yeah,
1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million new subscribers, but you're going to get a bunch of people who understand subscription services and are going to see
Yeah.
that this is a deal you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, see, and to point out, and I think I've pointed this out so many times at this point, the reason why like Hulu and all these people are starting to have a little bit of a hard time kind of growing and maintaining is because they have so much,
Yeah.
so much competition in their spheres of operation. They have so much, and they have to retain so much. So to grow and retain so much in in an environment of like 17 17 other things is really hard to do, especially in the economy at this point. All right. So if you're putting all those things together, it's just a nightmare for everything, whether it's payable goods or services. It's just a nightmare out there at the moment. But don't make a mistake. If you're looking at the market right now and all you see is PlayStation Plus and Xbox in the same market here, right? Xbox Game Pass in the same market, make no mistake. Once these games start pumping out and they could land them and they could be good and people like them, it's a snowball effect for Xbox in a gigantic way. And that's exactly what they're betting on.
Great points all around, as always. Fuzzy, let's bring you into the conversation, because one of the things I will continue to bang the drum for Xbox Game Pass isn't because I'm getting $1 every time I say it. My ideology has always been thinking about the people, and I like to put myself on the stand and say that. And if you've heard this before and you're bored of it, I hear you, but I have to say it. The biggest thing that Game Pass does for gamers of every ilk financially is allow for you to be a part of the gaming conversation, which, again, if it comes easy for you and you got it like that, I give you a giant pat on the ass. Congratulations. That's awesome. But not everyone is in the same boat. And if we've learned anything, entertainment is the first thing to go when money is difficult. When you have to decide on whether or not to buy a game, or, I don't know, pay the rent, or feed your family, or pay your car insurance, or fill up your car with gas, right? These are things that people take for granted. And you shouldn't, because not everyone is in the same financial boat as you. Game Pass gives people an opportunity to get a Call of Duty Black Ops 6 in their $20 service. Yes, it went up $3, and that sucks all around. But again, if you are a frugal gamer, you can find places like Aniba and CD Keys where you are paying $9 a month. Like, you honestly can. It's not a mystery. It's not a secret handshake club. Go there, type it in. You could find it. Again, it's gone up a little bit. The last time I saw it, 3 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate was $27, $27.64, I think it was. That's just a pinch over $9 a month. That's half price, folks. Less than half price. So if you look for it, you can find it. But Fuzzy, let's get into this, because there are 2 points of contention here. One, it makes sense for a cloud only, because people are going to play this on their Fire Stick and be like, wow, this is amazing. And I'm telling you right now, they're going to $20. Nope, that's too rich for me. And here's where I didn't understand it. You're paying $20, but what if you don't have it on console? What if you don't have a PC? What if you only have cloud? Why are you paying $20?
Yeah.
That to me is ridiculous. So I'm glad to see that they realize that's just a dumb move. And the other thing that a lot of people have been asking for is the family plan. I do hope it comes back. I don't know what it's going to cost, but I find it to be very ridiculous that a family of gamers are paying for 3 subscription prices of Ultimate. And because you're one of them. Let's get into it.
All right. So before I get to the family plan, the pricing structure always felt a little weird to me. But I think the big thing that while they're reevaluating these tiers and things, I think they need to forward think as well.
Yep.
And start incorporating the Game Pass Mobile, whatever that winds up being. And in all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if their best foot moving forward is to take Game Pass Mobile and merge it with cloud, make that one whole thing. If you have Ultimate, you have everything. If you have cloud or this Game Pass Mobile, not only do you get something dealing with like their store as far as for the mobile games and things like that, but you can still use your browser on your phone to access the games. I mean, you can still use a browser on the PC to do that, but if you want that native experience, it's better to go ahead and get that Game Pass PC set up. The console crowd, I really wish that the $15 deal was, day and date still, as well as multiplayer included. And then I guess the step up would be with Ultimate. You're getting console, you're getting PC, you're getting cloud/mobile, and that would be worth the $5 difference. PC, because their PC store is a big fat turd right now, to be honest. When you compare it to things like Steam or Epic, the big advantage with their store is that the dual entitlement. Outside of dual entitlement, there really isn't much more benefit. Yes, you're getting some PC games, especially their first party day and date with that service. But outside of that, it might as well just be curated as far as PC. A lot of the PC games that you do get, you could wind up. I mean, if you're a PC only person, chances are you're already picking them up for $5 to $10 at most in some cases for a lot of those games. Either they're older games or the day and dates do have discounts out there on Steam or CD keys and things along those lines. So the CD or the PC Game Pass still needs to convince people to come over, and they got to do something with that store to continue to improve and upgrade it. But on the mobile side or the cloud side, I mean, if you just bought a $60 Fire Stick, why would you pay $20 a month to access games and then have basically 2/3 of that non-accessible from that unit? Like it would be great as an add-on that you go ahead and get a console later, but convincing somebody that's paying $20 up front after buying a $60 device to not need a console, it felt weird. And the fact that they're looking at that is a good step moving forward type of thing. But I think they need to, with the cloud, have cloud be like somewhere between $7.50 and $10, include mobile whenever that makes its appearance, because it was supposed to make an appearance mid-July, and here we are a little bit past that, but we'll see what they get done on that. But I think that's how they should structure things, and still keep core or have it where there's core and there's ad core or whatever. You can figure out a way to have it where, just like some of the mobile games have a little banner at the bottom of the screen, or if it's, while it's loading, like I don't know if they will, bother with the AI technology to say, oh, well, it's a loading screen, so let's hurry up and put this, ad for a controller or ad for another game in that loading screen spot, which I don't think people would mind as much, just as long as it's not like, oh, you want to play for another half hour, watch these 3 ads. No, definitely don't do that. But if they can figure out how to incorporate ads in like loading screen time frames, or just before you play the game, while it's loading in the background, you click the button to start the game, it gives you an ad, but let's say it takes 12 seconds to load. Well, if the ad is 10 seconds, I don't think people would be too upset. It's only when it's like they show you 90 seconds of ads and that game could have loaded in like less than 20 seconds. That's where they got to be careful. But I think that's what they should do as far as structure-wise. But with a family plan, just basically take Ultimate and at most double it. I'm not really a fan of 40, but I would say somewhere between the 30 to 40 range is probably the sweet spot. Yes, you're probably cannibalizing that 1 or 2 console or 1 or 2 PC subscriptions. Because like right now, since the boys play more so on Steam, since we have a family plan on that, where basically with the exception of certain studios, we can all access the games as far as anything that we've purchased from any 3 of us on Steam. So that's a nice feature to have. They lean on that more so than they do for the PC Game Pass. But I went from 3 things of Ultimate down to 1 thing of Ultimate and 2 things of PC on occasion, and now it's like I think the past 2 months they probably haven't used PC Game Pass at all, but they need to figure out something where it doesn't cannibalize them. But then again, at this point, a lot of people have, at least on the PC crowd, I would say they've probably moved to things like Steam, where as long as it's not your Call of Duties or your bigger titles where the publisher is like, no, you got to buy individual copies like your Grand Theft Autos from Rockstar and such. A lot of people just rather, at least on the PC side, rather do that. And that's kind of where I'm at now. But a family plan between 30 and 40, have access to like mobile Game Pass, PC Game Pass, console Game Pass, cloud, and have it where it's at least 3 and maybe at most 5, gamer tags that
Yes.
can be associated with it. I think that's a fair amount. But
Yeah, I mean,
we'll
again,
see.
the original pitch was up to 5 players, right? Like 5 family members. Again, are they going to change that? Is it going to be 3? Is it going to be 4? Is it going to be 5? All I know is that the family plan, I think, would be a really, really big get. Where I think you would get is you might actually get people like, well, this family plan is too good not to have. And maybe you get new subscribers that way. I think that the fact that they are considering and investigating these different additional tiers, I know there's going to be some talk about, well, boom, there are too many tiers. I'm confused. Consumers are confused. Look, if this was 10 years ago, I would be like, yeah, this is just a disaster. It's going to happen. People don't understand it. But we are in an era where subscription services really are the norm. Not everyone has as many as me or Fuzzy or Gamsley or anybody in the chat here. I mean, we just got, for instance, if we're talking about it all the time, my wife and I, we love K-dramas and we love K-drama films. And we watch them on Hulu. We watch them on Amazon Prime. We watch them on Netflix. Well, they have a specific subscription service that's $10 a month or $100 for the year called Viki. VIKI. We just found it over the weekend, and we already have our queue loaded with like a 20 already. And we're like, well, this is worth every freaking penny. But I pay for all these services, and I'm not sorry that I do, because it's the entertainment that we enjoy. So if you are someone that is a gamer, that is maybe you're finding gaming for the first time, and cloud is going to be the way that you game, awesome. As a matter of fact, I'm going to catch up on the super chats now, but Will Broke Boy Lewis, who dropped the last one, says that GeForce Now has a special half price on subs. Guess what I'm doing after this, brother? I'm heading over to my TV and I'm signing up for the top tier. If it's half price, they got my money. But I think this is a great idea. I do want to see the family plan come back for the folks that actually are going to use it, that have multiple Game Pass subscriptions that they're paying for now. Again, it's consumer forward thinking. Microsoft is normally doing that. I'd like to see them just kind of cross the finish line with that. And of course, getting back to a mobile and / cloud, you put that for $8. I think someone actually said that $8, you're going to get people to sign up, because again, maybe it's not day and date, fine, but you're going to have 500 plus games in there. And, again, it's really going to matter when these services are going to get the games. Is it a month? Is it 2 months? Is it 3 months? Is it kind of like EA Play? After 6 months, it goes into their service. That we need some more information, but we will eventually get it. I want to thank everybody that has tuned in. We had over 600 live viewers across Twitter and YouTube. So thank you so much for that. Let me catch up on the super chats, and then we'll get everyone out of here. It says Sony buying Evo and fighting games, skipping Xbox cannot be a coincidence. Just saying. I mean, and that comes the way of Maxi Coleman. So Maxi, thank you so much for the generosity. And I mean, they own Evo. There's another smart investment from Sony. Evo's big, man. It's look at this weekend. It was Evo everything. And they own it. It's why everything, they have marketing rights for a lot of the big fighters, because they own Evo, and Evo is the place. So that's, again, smart marketing as always by Sony. Again, I broke it down earlier, Maxie, about why we don't get it. I'm not happy about it. I don't like it. I would like to play these Marvel versus Capcom games on my Xbox, but I'm just not going to be able to. So I'm going to have to play them somewhere else. It sucks, but such is life. We have JFX88, who's been a channel member for an insane 8 months. Brother, thank you so much for the outstanding support. He says, well, Boom, I'd like to say that I don't know everything. I never would suggest otherwise, but I do a lot of homework for these shows to make sure that I don't get it wrong. I do get it wrong. And when I do, two things happen. One, I step forward in front of the firing squad and I just take it because I got it wrong. And two, I want to punch myself in the face because it bothers me. Like, you have no idea how it gnaws at me for getting it wrong because I should know better. I do a lot of work behind the scenes, but we're human. And sometimes I get it wrong. But the best thing to do is get out there and be like, hey, folks, I got it wrong. Throw the tomatoes. It's fine. And of course, that was Will Broke Boy Lewis drops an additional very generous $5 super chat. And he says, the only reason I can see for them to remove Day and Date from the standard tier is because they have so many games in the pipeline now coming out. I mean, it's definitely a possibility, especially when they say there's going to be 500 games in there. I just wish that we got some context to, okay, you took it away from console. I don't like it. When will those games be added? What is the wait period? Is it 30 days? Is it 60 days? Is it a year? You got to let us know, Xbox. That's bad messaging once again. Gamer by Choice drops a very generous $5 super chat. And he says, I love Game Pass, but many casuals do not care about Day and Date. They just want a cheap way to game on a gaming device. It's hard for hardcores to relate. I mean, Gamer by Choice, you know what? He's not wrong. He's honestly not wrong there. I do think that when we talk about Day and Date with a hardcore, we're like, yeah, that's a no-go for me. But the casual person that buys 3 games, maybe 3 games a year, is going to be like, well, I mean, there's 500 games in there. I mean, I'm okay. And I think it's going to make a bigger difference when like every Call of Duty is in the service. Then it's going to be like, wow, I can go back and play all these Call of Duties. Sign me up. But let's get everyone out of here. Gamsley, I want to sell your brand, sir. I want to find out where obviously yourself, Deadly Headley, and what can I think of his name? Oh my God, I'm blanking. Asa, Jesus Christmas.
Asa, the one.
Asa, I'm so sorry, kind
Rest
sir,
in peace.
Mr. VR himself. Where
Yes.
can people check out your weekly show? What you got going on, and where can people follow you on social media?
Yeah, so you can catch me here on Double Barrel Gaming every Monday at lunchtime to talk about everything Xbox and slander Sony stuff. No, I'm kidding. And you could for everything else, follow me on Twitter at GamsleyTKD. And for Gaming Arcadia, you could hit that channel with a follow on YouTube. That's where I have a Xbox podcast with the one and only Asa Games, he now calls himself, and Deadly Headley on the Xbox Series podcast for 3 p.m. on Thursdays.
Nice.
Where we just talk about games. We usually just talk about games and what we've been playing, and some light news and some light topics, and we just goof around and have fun. So if you like that, come check us out. And I make unfathomable jokes, and I'm just the worst. There you go.
Well, thank you. Super appreciate that, Gamsley. And of course, please get over there. All of his information's in the show notes. So you gotta do is click on Twitter, follow him, click on the link for his for the YouTube channel. Obviously, subscribe, where you can check out the team on a weekly basis on Thursdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Fuzzy Belvedere, brother, let's sell your brand. Obviously, there are 2 brands now to sell because we want people to be funneled over to the new horror podcast that you do with your wife each and every week. I believe that's on Friday evenings. Mm-hmm. We want to get people to get over there and subscribe to her channel. But also, where can people sub to your channel, which of course is the best place for anything and everything in the racing genre. And where can people find you on social media?
As always, Boom, thank you for having me on. Always awesome being on here with you and Gamsley as far as talking games. Love this hobby. Just love chilling with you guys and giving our thoughts on some of these topics, as well as thanks to everybody in the chat. Greatly appreciate you guys coming out, showing support. Don't forget, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related or some horror stuff as well, and don't forget, also look for my wife's Twitter account and YouTube account. Hers is Ferocious Fee 78 on Twitter or X, and then on YouTube, do a search for Ferocious Fee or Fright Night with Ferocious Fee for the podcast itself. And you can follow me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere, and my YouTube channel, just put Fuzzy Belvedere all together, do a search. You should see me. You'll find it where you'll see some racing videos as far as between GT7 and Forza. You can also find me on a number of other podcasts later on tonight, FSP, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculations channel. And then hope to see everybody right back here. Well, wait, that's right. There's no Breakfast with Boom Friday, is there?
Not this week. This week
Okay.
I'm going to be out. I'm going to see Deadpool Wolverine with my brother.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
I'm taking the day off.
Yeah. Everybody have a great, awesome weekend or week. And yeah, check out that movie, Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the box office hit for this summer. So yeah, definitely check it out. But thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Gams, of course. Thank you to the over 600 people that tuned in live. And of course, Mrs. Boom and I want to offer our humble thank yous for the continued support, not only through Super Chats, but of course, channel memberships. We obviously can't do any of the big giveaways without the help. Honestly, we're just a mom and pop, podcast that likes to do as much as we can for others. I'll be mailing out again all 5 of the prize packages tomorrow, like I've done in the past. Each person that I have your email, or I've talked with you on DM, or of course through Xbox or other social media ways, I'll send you the tracking number. It's going to be done by USPS. I'm actually getting out of here as soon as the show is done to get the boxes. We're going to get those shipped out to everyone. And of course, that is we can't do any of that without the help. So a big thank you to that. And of course, we're going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And it simply says this. And this comes away of my dad, who is my hero, greatest man I've ever met. He used to say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special.